Oh, hey, Alice. Fancy seeing you here. You walked in at a good time. We have the infamous Barney Wells this evening,
It's good to see you.
coming all the way from Dixon, man. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
out
man.
here.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolutely.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I caught your set at East Room, and I was like, I got to talk to this guy.
A lot of fun. That was a great night.
Yeah, man. You got an EP coming out around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man. We just recorded. We did a quick thing. We've been playing these songs out live, and we went into a studio actually out in Dixon, Tennessee, and recorded 5 songs over 2 days. We were in post right now, and just actually got first mixes back yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that. So some revisions, but we're really close. And yeah, hopefully, if everything goes right, which knock on wood, you know, we'll have something out hopefully right before Thanksgiving. That's my goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Have you announced what the name of it is yet?
So, man, that's a great question. We've really gone back and forth. There's a song on there called "Easy Man to Please." I just think that sounds like something like an album should be called that. But then there's another song on there called Mother Blue Sky, and we're like, oh, that's kind of a cool title. Then one of the really kicking songs on there is a song called All the Way, and we're kind of like, I don't know, maybe it should be called All the Way. So we're bouncing back and forth between those. I still like Easy Man to Please for that first one, so we'll see. We'll
Right
see.
on. So it's still up in the air.
Yeah, man.
Gotcha. I think that's cool. Like let it settle, listen to the
Yes,
final product, and then make your decision.
I believe in that. Sometimes you think it's supposed to be one thing, and then when you just let it happen very organically, it's like, oh, I've been literally on all my notes and things, been calling it Easy Man to Please, like when I'm talking about the project. And now I'm kind of like, I don't know, let's just keep listening.
Yeah,
Maybe something else jumps out to us. And I'm fine with that. I love that.
that's the beautiful thing about art, especially music, is like it's never gonna turn out exactly the way you envision it, like in your mind.
Yes,
But that's a beautiful thing because then what actually happens is it's unique and special,
agree.
and it like the messiness of making like a piece of art, like an album, like an EP is.
Absolutely. We've been talking about this in other ways. Everything is so algorithm driven
Yeah,
these days. And I get it. I get the need for the algorithm. I get the need for the metrics, all that. I really, truly do. And I'm kind of a dinosaur, and I'm like, I just want the organicness of it. It still has to be art. I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's got to be art. And I think that happens organically, like what you're talking about. Sure, have a plan going in, but allow it to happen organically and
yeah,
be fluid enough to, hey, yeah, I know, guys, we talked about it. It was going to be this. It really feels like maybe it should be this.
yeah.
And then
That's
just
totally
allowing
cool.
yourself to be open to it.
Yeah, man, you're a real artist. It translates in your music, the way you perform.
I try to be. I don't want to be pretentious about it, but I really,
You
if
can
the
tell it.
song's not good, if the
Yeah,
performance isn't good, I'm like, man, what are we
you can
doing?
tell it's about the art with you.
Thank you.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone perform, like a band perform, and it's like, oh, you guys are just doing this.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to like make it big or
Yep.
like, but
I think you
you
can
can
tell.
tell. Oh, you can totally
I
tell.
think you can tell.
Yeah, I don't. Not all artists know that, but like
Yeah.
when the audience knows. The audience knows whether you're having a good time or whether you're
Absolutely.
just like, I can't wait for this to be over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think the one thing, I mean, I'm not your typical Nashville guy. You know what I mean? I'm just not. I am, but maybe more like a fringe kind of thing. I mean, there's things going on in Nashville that I just adore. I'm like, oh, I'd like to be a part of that scene. You know what I mean? But then there's just things, and you can tell when things are plastic, and you
yeah,
can tell when things are organic, and it's happening naturally, and there's people doing it right, and for the I don't know, I don't want to say the right reasons, but you
for the
you
right
get what I'm
reasons.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have to say it. I'll say it
yeah,
for the
yeah.
right
Thank you,
reasons.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think if you're trying to do something for the sake of money, first of all, it's the wrong industry because they don't
Oh
they
my
don't
God.
pay the way people think it does sometimes. Uh,
Yeah,
for like if you're in it for money, you're in the wrong place. First of
absolutely.
all,
Yeah.
especially in a place like Nashville, I can't tell you how like I got friends from LA and like coming in from out of state. It's like I'm like trying to tell them it's like Nashville is the hardest place to cut your teeth for music. Like it's not easier here. Like you are like everyone is a bad like. There are a lot of people from like for example Sydney Mays from Perry County. Like this kid.
Love that guy.
I fucking love Sydney, and he's a great kid. And
he's so damn good. And when I found out that he was from Perry County, I was like, wait a minute, time out.
Yeah.
Because like that's our side of town. It's farther out, but I mean,
Yeah.
like I've got some of my best friends are from Perry County, and here Sydney's doing his thing, and I mean, like you can tell, like for a young guy, he's doing it for the right reasons. He's passionate about his sound. That's what I like.
Yes.
He's passionate about his sound, and it's very hard to pinpoint. I actually had messaged him, and it's like, hey man, I'm just curious. I mean, it's just totally random. I probably thought, I met you one time. I said, what are your influences? Because here's what I hear. Yeah. And it was neat. It was it wasn't necessarily what I had pegged, like what his influences might be, but it was close. You know what I mean? I was like, that's cool as shit. I love that. Can we cuss on this podcast?
Absolutely fucking not.
Fuck yeah.
No, Sydney's a long-standing friend of the show.
Awesome.
And he actually, I told him you were coming on, and he comes on and co-hosts with me sometimes.
No kidding.
He wanted me to tell you.
That's cool. Yeah.
He's actually playing a show at Springwater
right now. Tonight with some friends of ours, Lucian Wade and Isaac Frost of Steel News.
Oh, awesome!
Absolutely.
I might actually, depending on when we get out of here, I might actually head over there.
Very cool. Very cool.
But yeah, where was this? Oh, but he's like he comes from a small town.
Yeah.
And like my friends from like out in LA or from Austin or Florida coming here. I'm like, you don't understand. Like there's kids out here that like all they did was play guitar growing up, and they will knock your fucking socks off.
Yeah.
Like there's so much raw talent here.
Absolutely.
And it's tough, man. Like I don't play music.
Yeah.
But
but you're a lover of music, man.
Yeah, live music.
That's what I love. You can still be a lover of music, and you're almost just as much of an artist as the ones that are making the art, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I write poetry, and I'm working on a fantasy novel right now.
So see, you are an artist.
Yeah, I take myself pretty seriously.
Yeah.
but no, I'm not. I'm a lover of music, but I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
And but yeah, obviously, I talk to a lot of musicians, and it's something. And I go to a lot of like shows, and something I'm noticing is like it's not enough to be good. It's not enough to be unique. You got to be both. You have to stand out, and you got to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of to bring it back around to what we were talking about. You got to love what you're doing.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to, what I love to see is someone who is just really passionate about their project, and then they make it big. Like they weren't even really, that was like kind of a nice side effect to what they were doing. Yes. I love to see those people get.
It wasn't the main goal.
Yes.
I love when it happens and it wasn't the main goal. How special is that?
To see someone, it's so special to see someone like that get an organic success and like follow their dreams. I love seeing that.
I do too.
But it's not, it's realistically like there is the industry hit, like people in a studio, like more like at a board meeting, like trying to figure out the perfect formula. And there's an art to that too. But
there is.
That's like unless you're like this huge label trying to create this thing, this Frankenstein type thing, it's not realistic. Like if you're just trying to do it for money, again, you're in the wrong industry.
I agree.
You could go get into tech or something.
The money is so hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people out there. I was reading somebody, or not reading about somebody, but it was like just like a post they had, and they were talking about at one point they were out on the road trying to do the damn thing, and they're doing the damn thing now. And they were saying that they were losing $7,000 a month. And I started totaling that up in my head. I'm like, holy shit. Like $7,000. Because, you got to think, man, to get from point A to point B, it takes a lot of money. And there's more, it's not just packing your guitars up and going, okay, we know these songs, let's go burn it down. A lot of people are out there burning it down. Yeah. Like they put on great live shows. And then the thing that sucks so bad, I'm not saying this is bad about venues, but not every venue is paying you $2,000, $5,000, $1,000. some,
or at all.
We have a great show coming up at a big really nice venue in Tupelo, Mississippi in January. And it's a place we've been wanting to get into because me and our guitar player in Barney Wells and the Rambling Soul, Zach Brooks.
Oh, what a talented dude. Man, he was smoking that
dude.
I'm like,
okay, so an aside here. So we got there and we were talking on the way up, and we didn't know what Floater was going to be like. And they just blew us out of the water, man. We were so stoked. Like, we love all kinds of music. I mean, like, our band is so influenced by such a wide range of things. So Floater was just like a breath of
them too.
Just like a breath of fresh air. But then we had kind of been hip to Sydney a little bit, and we had been listening to him, and I was like, man, you heard the Sydney Mace play? He was like, yeah. And we knew JD because we're friends with not the guys from Naughty Input, JD and Chelsea and all those guys. And so we knew, like, they play out in Dixon at
really?
119, which is like kind of our hometown brewery and everything. And so we got to know them through that and all that stuff. So we knew JD was a monster on guitar. And Zach was like, geez, dude, he's like, we're following them. Like, I got Sydney Mays, I've got JD, and then we go up. And I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, you're just as good as any of these guys. And I mean that as a compliment. That's not to throw shade at Sydney or JD. I mean, those guys are monsters. But I told Zach,
he's a monster in his own right.
I said, you are a very, very good. Go up there and just do your damn thing. And I'll be damned if he did. And I told him we were on the ride back. I was like, dude, I love you, man. And I get it because, like, I've got to follow Chelsea Fuller singing the way she sings. And I was sitting there going, now we got to go up there. We were definitely different. We were.
Yeah, it was a very diverse.
It was a very diverse lineup. All you got to do is go. You can just go up and do your thing. That's all you can do. But yes, I was telling Zach that, I told him how much he killed. But anyway, Zach and I had gone down to Columbus, Mississippi, and done a really small thing with a friend of ours, Alan Aldridge. Shout out to Porch Talk 101 podcast out of Columbus, Mississippi. And then we went to Tupelo. We got hooked up there. And by a friend of ours, Hunter Myers, who's an artist out of the Mississippi area. And the guy who owns the Down Under, the second place we played at in Tupelo, we were talking to him after the show, and we're like, man, this is great. Like, the duo's fun. Like, we have a lot of fun, just Zach and I. And we pull out stuff that we don't do live, with the band. And I said, we really want to do like a live band thing. He told us about a place down there called the Blue Canoe, which we had heard a lot of people from the area going, oh, that's the place you need to be playing. It kind of sounds like it's like our Third and Winsley. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like one of those, and locally it's the premier place. So,
gotcha.
So we got hooked up with that, and we're super thankful. But it's not a big paying gig, and I don't blame them. They don't know who we are. I sent them a sizzle reel, like 2.5 minutes long with, footage and a song flowing over the footage and everything. He's like, we'll give it a shot. And we're just thankful for the opportunity. It's one of those gigs you got to take it. But we're not going to make any money off of it.
Yeah.
So think about those people that are out there doing it, and they're losing that $7,000.
That's crazy.
A month, or even if you're losing $2,000 a month.
I can't afford losing.
I can't do that. Like, my budget can't allow for that. So kudos to the people that are out there doing it, no matter what they're making. That's when I think it's either artistry or ignorance, and I like to think it's artistry. Yeah. They're out there going, dude, I might go broke, but damn it, I'm going to do it, trying to get the thing done.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
I think, I know personally, like, live music saves lives, and what you do is really important, man. That I was raised in I still have a place for God.
Yeah.
But I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Coming from like a very religious home. And when I always say all that because when I moved out when I was 18, and I was also homeschooled, so I didn't know anyone at all.
Yeah.
And when I moved out, I immediately started going to live shows.
Okay.
And that filled that void of community.
Yep.
It's spiritual.
Yes.
It's spiritual when you
100%.
see people doing that.
I always say, and it can sound cheesy or cliche, and I don't care. It is what it is. Music is the greatest healer in the world. My friend Jeremy, who's wrote in with me, we were talking on the way in, and we were like, think about music and how powerful it is. Like, I don't know anybody, and I'm sure they're out there. And we decided there's probably somebody out there that just like doesn't like music. Like I don't listen to music. Like they just drive around in silence and
what a horrible
live their
what
life.
A horrible life.
Live their life in silence. And I'm like, but think about how universally loved. You could go to the far reaches. Music's everywhere. And I can't imagine a world without music. I mean, I know for me, like even today, I was going through some stressful stuff, and I just played it on repeat. "Blue Sky" by the Allman Brothers is my favorite song ever, and songs like that. Or I'm a huge Jackson Brown fan, and I'd gone through some stuff in the last year that was just a lot of anxiety, and I really hadn't dealt with a lot of that. I don't think I was in tune with it. I think I had anxiety, but I didn't. I come from a generation and a geographical region that you rub some dirt on, you get the fuck on with it. You know what I mean? And you hide all that shit. And I've always wanted to be, especially as I've gotten older, I wanted to be in tune with that, so I could be the best person, the best version of me that I can be. Going through a lot of anxiety type stuff, man. And Jackson Brown, I'm a huge fan of his writing. I just think he's one of the greatest songwriters ever. And I think he's so underappreciated. He's got, tons of records and everything, but he's got an acoustic volume 1 and acoustic volume 2. And it's just him sitting down doing these really stripped down versions of his songs. And it's very intimate. Like there's a lot of storytelling in between songs and even banter with the audience. And man, I would, to ease my anxiety at night, but much to my wife's chagrin, I would literally play it all through the night just to bring me a semblance of peace, or just, stillness, where I was like, take that deep breath. So, man, music, it's such a powerful thing for good, bad, whatever. I mean, it's a powerful tool.
Yeah. Like you said, it's the best healer there is.
I agree.
That and laughter.
Yeah, laughter. Absolutely.
I love seeing comedy, and
Same.
we're in a time where comedy's under attack.
Yep, I agree.
In a lot of areas where so you can't joke about that. It's like, I mean, that's how I heal. Like that's how I like I've had, we've all experienced hardship, but cracking jokes about it is like one of the best things you can do.
I completely agree. I'm big into stand up and comedians. A lot of the podcasts I even listen to, I listen to a lot of different styles of podcasts, but a lot of them are comedian driven.
You watch Kill Tony?
Love Kill Tony.
Yeah. I watch Kill Tony religiously.
I get on things like I'll attach to like a couple of different podcasts and think, I'm always going to listen to this podcast, and then I kind of move on. But like a Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee, do you know who Bobby Lee is? From Mad TV?
It's been a minute since I've seen that. Yeah.
I used to listen to it nonstop all the time, and then I kind of, get tired of it, and then I find something else. But it seems like it's always comedian driven for the most part. But comedy's under attack. I think a lot of things like that are under attack, and I get it. But I think we have to be very, very careful with that, because comedians are supposed to
push the boundary.
They're supposed to push the boundary. We're supposed to understand as listeners and as viewers and patrons of places that these guys are telling jokes. They are looking at a serious situation in a lot of times, and they're trying to find the holes in it where we can poke fun at. Now, look, if it's mean-spirited, if it's bigoted, if it's racist, if it's sexist, misogynistic, like to a hurtful point, I think, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I think we have to be like, okay, well, what's the intent here? Is it to denigrate a whole portion of people, of the populace, or is it just saying, hey, there is humor in your situation, even though it's serious? By the way, we see some laughter in that.
That's the most important kind of comedy, is on topical, things where people really are hurting.
Yes.
That's something we can like get together around.
Yeah.
Like, and I really don't like when it comes to jokes like about minorities, like I don't my friends that would fall in those categories are the biggest proponents of that. It's typically people that have nothing to do with it that are the ones that are offended about it.
I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah. but yeah, like laughter and art are the edge of freedom of speech.
I agree.
And we have to be able to express ourselves that way, because if we lose it there, we've lost it in every other sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Without getting too personal into it, when we're talking about anxiety, is it something you can kind of pinpoint, or is it just kind of like a vague, overwhelming thing, or is it like, is it world issues, is it personal issues, or is it something you can't quite define?
I don't know exactly. I think I need therapy. Like my anxiety isn't debilitating. It can be. Look, I can have really bad days. Luckily, they're very few and far between. But like, there's times when it's like, yeah, it's just not a good day, and I've battled my ass through it. I think some of it has to do with certain things that maybe happened in my childhood, and that's just me thinking that. I can't. Somebody much more adept and knowledgeable, would have to maybe go, oh yeah, dude, this is what you're dealing with. But yeah, man, I hate to admit it, I'm addicted to my damn phone.
Oh yeah.
I'm addicted to social media, because the crazy thing with me, like, social media to me is this magazine that's brand new. By the time I get to the end of it, the other subscription is showing up at my front porch.
That's what
doom scrolling literally is the term for it. But like, to me, and it can be good and bad, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great things on social media and the internet as a whole. There's so much shit that is so negative, and some of it's negative on the most positive of posts. I have the problem of reading the damn comments, not the post itself. I go in and I read the comments on something that I think is going to be this really positive thing, dude. And I'm like I wish I could think of the example from a couple of days ago. Something that you just would think was the most innocuous post, leaning positive. Like, there's nobody that can be pissed off about this, right?
Oh, we want to bet?
Shit. And then I kind of get angry because I want to just like blast them. And I used to do that. And I've gotten so much better in the last 2 or 3 years, where I'm just like, just don't respond to that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're not helping anybody. You're only hurting yourself when you go through that stuff. But I do find that really affects my mood, and not necessarily anxiety, just mood. Like, I just walk around the house pissed off.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, it's just this ridiculous thing for an almost 53-year-old man to be pissed off about. It's like, I'm a child. Deep down inside, I'm just acting like a child,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Particularly right now, this is something I'm dealing with a lot, because with this Israel-Hamas situation, it's like, I have a lot of friends that are personally affected by this. And that's my doom scrolling right now. And it's like you say, it's not, once I put the phone down, that has stayed with me now. And that's 100%. Affected my entire day. My problem is I do it in the morning, and that's a bad way to set your day.
And it's the whole day.
Yep. It's the whole day.
Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son, Lucas Nelson of the Promise of the Real, one of my favorite bands. And he's got this song. It's just a simple song. And literally what the intent, or the root of the song is, turn off the news and build a garden with me. Meaning, if we just put our phones down and you and I just like got down to the nitty gritty and just sat down and had a beer together, there's so much that we have in common. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but we allow social media posts or whatever news outlet you watch and or read. There's so much that can feed that division. And so the intent of that song and the message of that song is, just put all that stuff down. Let's get to know each other, because we're probably going to love each other way more than you think if we're just going back and forth on social media. You know what I mean? Because you can make your point. I can have a counterpoint. You can have a counterpoint to the counterpoint. And it's just this vicious cycle that in the end brings no joy to the world. It doesn't bring any good vibration to the world, and it tears people apart that otherwise would be fine with each other,
Yeah.
That's frustrating as hell.
Oh, for sure, dude. It's a difficult balance because while on one hand it's important to talk about these issues and to stay informed,
Yes.
it's also a lot of this is designed purposefully to divide and separate people.
Have you ever watched the? I hope I don't get the documentary wrong. I think it was called The Social Dilemma. Maybe it was on Netflix for a while, and it was like the engineers from like Google, from Pinterest, from Facebook, and they were in there creating this stuff. And like when they figured out the like button at Facebook, like that shot of adrenaline, dopamine, whatever, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, we keep them coming back, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, he's put his phone down. Let's do a pop up of so and so just made a post you might be interested in. Oh, wait a minute, he's back on his phone, he's scrolling again, and they are literally saying, no, I don't let my kids. My kids aren't allowed to have a computer.
Yeah.
How scary is that?
Because they know.
You know, they know how it was created. Like you just said, it's created to do that kind of shit.
There's some man, yeah. It there's everything is working against the people. It's any way that they can divide. It's not just like social media. Like everything we're bombarded with is designed to divide us. Yep. Because whether that be race, religion, politics, gender,
yep.
It's all just a distraction so that people don't get together and
yep.
have become friends
yep.
and like have a conversation. Because I'm sure if we tried, you and I could find something we disagree about.
Oh, I guarantee if we talk long enough, we have a healthy debate on something.
But it's almost like you were saying with Willie Nelson's son, that song. It like if you don't do that,
yep.
you've got 1,000 other things
yep.
that you find out. It's like, oh yeah, we're on the same page about this.
What's frustrating to me is when art becomes divisive, whether intentionally or people create division, where there's really not even supposed to be division. You know what I mean? God, I even hate to bring his name up because he's all over everything. You can't get away from it. The guy, the Oliver Anthony guy, right? And I've got my opinions. One on the song itself and the performance of it. That's neither here nor there. My thing with music, it's art. If you really believe that, it's art, and that is somebody's Picasso, even if it's not mine. Or what I like is my Picasso, and you might think, whatever, dude, like it's terrible. That was somebody's art. But I hate the way that got co-opted at first. And it was such a great magnifying glass on our society and the way we love to screw things up.
Yeah.
The right, politically speaking, co-opted that as, he's one of ours, hell yeah. And it just blew up, right? And then the left was trying to denigrate the guy. He's an industry plant. Maybe he's, I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't even know how that would even work. And then as the song not died down, because I mean, it's still out there, but in the coming days, and he would do interviews, he was like bashing both sides in a way, right? And I'm not saying the guy's right, wrong, or indifferent. I just
he's kind of like he's not really taking a hard stance on anything. That was a weird one to me.
Yeah,
because I'm like, how he's right. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
he's right about this.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a weird like. He's not saying like he's not some conservative talking point.
Yep.
Like he's one of us. That's a weird argument. Also,
yes.
The left saying that he's somehow like divisive or like a media plant is an industry plant is. These are both absurd opinions.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like he went on Rogan and a few others where he's just talking shit about all of it.
Yeah, he's like I wrote it about all of them, and I'm kind of to a point that's where I'm like, I've got my political beliefs and kind of stick to them. But even in the last year to 18 months, I've kind of softened my stance on certain things because when you really pay attention to politics, and I used to be a guy 6 years ago, whatever, dude. Then I really, started paying attention, and they're all screwing us. They're all screwing us. That's why I kind of loved when he kind of got out from behind the song and people started asking him questions, and he one thing I like about the guy is he at least kind of stood his ground. He was like, oh, I wasn't writing it for this. I'm talking about all of it.
It probably would have done him well to pick a side.
I agree.
In like a money sense.
Completely
but he didn't
agree.
do that.
He did.
Yeah, stuck to his guns on that.
Yeah.
And no, the only strong political stance I have
Yeah.
is that I hate the fucking government in
Yeah.
all of its facets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny because that's not really that's not really like a divisive thing. It's like pretty much everyone I talk to is like, yeah, fuck the government. I'm like, oh, okay. So we all agree these guys fucking suck.
Right.
They've never done anything successfully. Everything they've done's failed.
Well, the one thing that I would say too about that kind of stuff is, I mean, think about what we're. I don't want to get political, but
yeah, we can get off this in a second.
We can get but think about what we're getting ready to fucking vote for in 2024. Think about what we're getting ready to do, and you got one guy look, this is just my opinion. You got one guy who can't tell the truth. You got one guy who can barely tell time. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is what we.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
I'm getting ready to be 53. Right? We're getting ready to vote for people that are your grandparents' age, my parents' age.
Yeah.
And God bless them. But that's not who I want running running the free world.
Did you see
like what are we doing?
RFK's just announced he's going independent. You see that?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, like he's gonna run, right? I don't think he's gonna win. I think it'd be great if he did, but I don't think well, since you asked, I think not just the last one, but pretty much every election in my lifetime's been rigged in one form or another. Even if it's just the face value of pick between these two.
Yeah.
You want this piece of shit or this piece of shit? I don't think there's a stranglehold on it because it sounds like you're aware of this also. I think most people are coming to this realization, but it's not two parties; it's two puppets with one master.
Oh, I think
it's all an illusion.
Yeah, I think it's 100% like that. What really started really disillusioning me was watching what happened to Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020.
Yep.
Bernie Sanders, maybe not so much in 2016, but I still think it happened. But definitely in 2020, before Biden was ever in the race, Bernie was not running away with it, but kind of. And then I think they got scared of that. I think Bernie's stuff was too far out. It was too left. And I think that's debatable. But I think it was different. But that was at least the drum he had pounded for years. And I think they're like, whoa. You got to rein this crazy man in. And all of a sudden Biden comes in, and it was Klobuchar and a couple of the other ones that were in there, and they dropped out of the race. I think it was in South Carolina. And they immediately backed Biden, who had just gotten in the race.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you literally saw Sanders go from being up here, and he just tanked him. You know, then the bad thing is then Bernie had to fall in line and had to support somebody who otherwise
in 2016 he endorsed Hillary, but like begrudgingly, right?
Oh.
Like he
I mean,
like they were fighting the whole time. Hillary did not. She talked shit about him the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of had to.
And that's the sad thing. And that's where it goes back to the puppet thing. But it always blows my mind when you watch people. I mean, the Republican side was wild in leading up to 2016. I remember sitting there thinking, you know, Trump's out there calling people by middle school fucking nicknames and stuff, you know, Sleepy, I can't remember who, well, maybe that's what he calls
we can't deny that the man is funny.
Well, he, sadly, yes, but
not a great quality for a president.
Yeah. But then all these people that he just denigrated, they got to fall in line because that's the company line. And I just wish somebody younger with a fresher idea than just the fucking status quo.
Yeah.
You know, just it's boring as shit. And I think the younger people, I mean, I've got daughters that are getting ready to be 26 and one 23, and they're not like super into politics. My youngest daughter is a little bit more into it, you know, than my oldest. But all their friends, they get it. They're like, this
Yeah.
is the choices. You know, this is
Mm-hmm.
where are the 50-year-olds at? Where are the 55-year-olds at? Too much politics. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I did it. It's my fault.
Damn it.
No, I'm right there with you, man. I think people are finally waking up to the farce more and more every day. But we're coming out of it. Like it's been the case that people are just either all in on one of these two religions.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a religion. It's easy for me to see because I grew up in a religious cult.
Sure.
You have your government, or your political party, and both sides do this. Both of them do it. And anything they say, it's like a sports team, and that's fine when we're talking about Vols versus Alabama. You know,
sure.
Like you can pick your side. And you can be all in on it, even if they lose all the fucking time, even if they're always wrong.
Right.
It's okay that I support my team.
Yeah.
It's not okay when we're talking about politics or religion
and lives.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah,
sure, people live and die by the Vols or Roll Tide or whatever. You know, SEC, Mountaineers. I'm from West Virginia. I mean, everybody's West Virginia Mountaineers or Marshall Thundering Herd, and you know, people live and die by it. But at the end of the day, they're tucking their kids in. They're waking up. They're going to their job. Like the world's not. You know, their income's not affected by it. Their way of life, their freedom of movement's not affected by it. When you're talking about government, it's a whole. You can't run away from it.
No, you have to be open to the idea of listening to the other side, being open to having your mind changed. That's another thing. A phrase I have on the show is I'm dogmatic about anti-dogmatism.
Nice.
I'm very staunch about open-mindedness.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing I'm like, digging my heels in on is not digging my heels in.
Yeah.
But and we'll get away from this. You said you're from West Virginia. I didn't know that. That's awesome. What did your parents listen to growing up? What was in the car? What was in?
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. You being the music lover that you are, the above average music listener, you would have fallen right in with, I mean, really all of my family on both sides. There was always good music on. So I remember very distinctly, my parents got divorced around the time I was 7. But I remember distinctly, so this would have, vinyl was a major thing, back when I'm talking about. I remember Jim Croce records being around. I remember the Carole King Tapestry album being on all the time. And then I remember going to my grandmother's house, and they had the big console, it looked like a piece of furniture, like where the big lid lifts off. Nice. It can be a coffee table, but then like the lid comes, the top rises up, and you got the speakers on the side and the turntables inside. And I remember distinctly at family gatherings, they would put on records from like the 50s and 60s, like Motown or like pre-Motown. And literally, I mean, this sounds like I'm from 19 whatever, but I'm old. But moving the furniture out of the middle of the room. And my dad and aunt dancing like what they would call like shag style. Like, like where, you're doing the spins and the, all that cool stuff. And I just remember thinking that was the coolest thing in the world. And then, I've got technically a cousin. For years, I just assumed he was my cousin. It was my dad's cousin. So he was an older cousin who I just treated like an uncle. And he's from Louisville, Kentucky. And he was in a band back in the 60s and 70s and 80s called the Monarchs. And they had like a hit, and I remember being in the car and listening to cassettes, or probably really 8 tracks of the Monarchs. And, that was more like, not really doo-wop, but, vocal R&B, pop kind of stuff, just thinking that was amazing. This guy's in our family. I was just a kid. But then I think when it really started impacting me, I had some cousins from a big family on my mom's side, and they would turn us on to all the cool music. Like it was always Motown, and like the Jackson Five, and then all the Commodores and Earth, Wind and Fire was a thing. Like all this really cool music started coming into my frame of reference. And then I had a cousin who was a true hippie, and he's probably had the biggest effect on me. And I remember like this guy, I mean, true hippie, like back in the 70s, where he's hitchhiking to California and coming back on a big yellow
That's
bus.
a different world, man.
Coming back on a big yellow bus to his father, who was a staunch army guy who had a flat top almost his whole life, kind of guy, right? But a beautiful man.
Yeah.
But total polar
Sure.
opposites. And it's like, well, who'd you bring with you? Oh, this is Boston, because he probably didn't know his name. You know what I mean? Like true hippie stuff. And he was a musician, played drums, bass, guitar, and everything. And I remember he lived with my grandmother for a long time. And I remember as a little kid, he lived kind of in the back of my grandma's house. And I would literally sneak back, like crawl on the floor. And like he would have the big headphones on, and he'd be playing along to the Eagles. I just thought it was the coolest shit.
That's awesome.
On the planet. Like I just thought that was the coolest thing. And then like my stepdad was really into doo-wop. Buddy Holly, he was into that. But then like he was into at the time like Hank Williams Jr. And that was just such a turnoff to me, because that's not what I grew up with before him. And there's probably some animosity, like who's this man all of a sudden in my life? So he like Waylon Jennings and Hank Jr. and country stuff too. Oh, great stuff. And it took me until really my high school years to fall in love with that kind of music. So then that informed me to a whole other thing. And like even Hank Jr., really was my doorway, my passageway to the blues. And a lot of people might listen to Hank and they don't get that. I got it. Like it was like, oh, I don't know what it is exactly, but like this is the blues.
Yeah.
Well, then that got me into a whole other thing, and like Stevie Ray Vaughan and the Allman Brothers. I mean, I'm a massive Allman Brothers fan. Like, but then I could trace back what the Allman Brothers were hit to before that, and then I started finding, all these other influences that predated them by 20, 25, 30 years. You know what I mean? So music was always a thing. I was always an above average music listener. And yeah, man, I don't know. Just music.
You had a lot of diverse music.
A lot.
Growing up.
A lot.
And that's okay. So that you were no stranger to a wide variety of music, and it sounds like music was a constant presence.
Constant.
Yeah.
Constant.
Very cool.
Yeah,
what have you been listening to in like the last week?
Gosh,
I know you said you listen to a lot of podcasts, but like what do you put on in the car as far as music goes?
Yeah, your listeners and viewers will be like, who is this guy? Like I still I still love Bob Seger, but like there's a band out there called Robert John and the Wreck, and it's just good. It's just rock and roll. I love Brent Cobb. And the only way I can really describe Brent Cobb, it's almost like this laid back country funk, kind of like a Tony Joe White kind of thing from the 60s, 70s. Like it's got that slinky little funky groove to it, but it's from a lyrical standpoint, it's just about being in the country and I love that kind of stuff. I'm from West Virginia, and I'll just tell you, again, it's somebody's Picasso, but like I don't know anything that's on country radio right now.
Yeah,
like it's like the farthest.
There's
from
not
any
a lot
genre.
good, honestly. like like you said, it's someone's got a taste for it, right? So like, it's just an opinion, right? But I mean, when it comes to country, like I like the older stuff.
Yeah.
I
love old country.
Yeah.
Like Merle Haggard.
I was just about to say.
Merle Haggard is my favorite.
I would
fight a man. No, I really wouldn't. But Merle Haggard to me is the greatest country singer that's ever lived.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Among a sea of amazing country singers. But God, Merle Haggard. Yeah. If I'm having a bonfire Merle Haggard's probably the first guy I'm turning on. And I love it. And I just sit there and I listen to it, and that'll lead me to listen to somebody like Vern Gosdin or George Jones or Willie Nelson's Stardust album. To me is just, that's the kind of country I like.
And there's
and I love 90s country too, because that's what I grew up with that. That's was my early adulthood. Joe Diffie and Tracy Lawrence and Alabama, but before Alabama's more 80s, they were still kicking in the 90s. But I love stuff like that. George Strait, we were literally listening to George Strait on the way in, and that's not something I listen to all the time. But God, when I do, it's just like putting on a warm coat. I love that kind of country. Nice. I couldn't tell you what the hell's going on today.
There's a couple artists that are that I like Colter Wall's really big right now. But it's like an old style. Like he's very like Merle Haggard. Like
he's a very
Johnny
old style.
Cash. Like,
I love Margot Price.
Margot Price. I don't know her.
Phenomenal. She runs in that same kind of genre. Lucas Nelson, Promise the Real. No, they can sound like Willie, or they can sound like Tom Petty, and everything in between.
That's cool.
I love that. I love Brent Cobb, Drayton Farley, J.D. Clayton. Like if he's kind of like a Brent Cobb-ish. I think Brent Cobb really turned a lot of people. Ben Chapman, Meg McCree. There's a lot of people that are doing. I actually hate calling it country, but I mean that's where the roots are.
I see what you mean.
But they're doing something. Drayton Farley is more of a like a true singer-songwriter. God, just such a great sound. But then like Ben Chapman and J.D. Clayton especially, like they're doing that Brent Cobb kind of country funk. I think J.D. Clayton's from Arkansas. I think Ben Chapman's from Georgia. I could be wrong on that. It doesn't matter. But it's just that southern rooted stuff, but it feels country funk R&B-ish. I'm probably bastardizing whatever genre they think they are, but
it's genre bending.
It's so good. So there's a lot of great shit out there.
Oh yeah,
a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of trash. I can say that. I know you're being you
got to sift through it for sure.
Yeah, you're trying to be more diplomatic about
it.
There's a lot of great. There's a lot of music is very accessible right now. It's easy for people to make. So there's stuff that's just not as polished as other stuff. But there's a lot of great music today too. Kind of hard segue. Just kind of switching gears here.
No, I'm good. I love it.
This is something I ask everybody.
Okay.
And I want to kind of preface this that nobody knows the answer, but it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think happens after we die? And nobody knows.
Yeah, man.
But does anything make more sense to you than anything else?
So, like you, I was raised in a very religious household.
What denomination?
Okay, so talk about like one end of the spectrum to the next. I was raised Catholic. Okay, went through did First Communion, went through what they call confirmation, which is something you do in your life.
Was it both your parents or?
At the time, yes. Okay. At the time, both sides of the family.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And
generational.
Generational for sure. Staunch Catholic. And then my mom, around the time I was 13, which would have been the earlier 80s, 83 to be exact, 83, 84-ish. My mom went the total opposite direction and started taking us to a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, dude, you can imagine like the shell shock
sure.
of going to a place where Mass at a Catholic church was very, here's what we're doing here, here's what we're doing here, this is happening, you're gone, right? Nice and tidy. To going to a place, a Pentecostal church, a charismatic church, and that moniker. People are catching the spirit and running around. Speaking in tongues and everything. And I'm like, what has she taken us to?
Was this still in West Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And not a I don't say this to denigrate it, but like not a snake handling Pentecostal thing. Like that's different versions. Sure. That's very deep. It happens in West Virginia for sure, and Appalachia especially. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's what I was brought up in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I fought it and fought it and fought it and fought. I would have people quote unquote prophesy over me or give me words of
So
knowledge.
sorry, I don't mean to
No.
interrupt you, but okay, so you said you were like 13 when
13 when we made that transition.
Okay.
13, 14 when we made that
gotcha.
transition.
Sorry, continue.
No, and as we went along, we not really church hop. I mean, it wasn't like we're like, oh, we're unsatisfied with this church, but we went to 2 or 3 different churches, and man, it was just something I fought against. I was in my trying to be rebellious, and just fighting against it. And, the kind of kid praying on a Sunday afternoon, like, oh man, we're not going back to church on Sunday night. And right when you thought you weren't going, get dressed, we're going to church. Oh, gotta be kidding me, that kind of thing.
And you're a kid, so
I'm a kid, man. I'm a kid. And so I started playing music when I was 20 and played. I mean, I went from having very strict curfews at midnight, like your ass better be home at midnight, type thing. I mean, and then from like 20 to 24, I was out till 4 in the morning playing bars and just doing all the shit. Mm-hmm. And really rebelling against anything and everything. And it was tenuous. Always loved, but you're going to hell. If you don't change your ways, you're going to hell. God, this is a fucked up message, right? So, but there was a point in my early adulthood that I gave my life to Christ, and but the one thing I don't take pride in it, but the way it happened for me was very organically. I mean, I hit a wall and got down on my knees in my mom's basement and asked for salvation or accepted salvation, however you want to frame it. And I went to bed in the wee hours of the morning and woke up light as a feather. I know it sounds weird, but that's just my experience.
I know what you mean.
Woke up and everything felt lighter. Literally, the birds sounded different. The sky was bluer. I don't know how. And I made a complete 180, and for a decade, a complete teetotaler, church every time I could. Took my gift of music, started playing.
Did you continue to go to a Pentecostal church?
Yeah. More. Yes, definitely Pentecostal, but like a charismatic church, the precursor to these bigger multi-location churches that we see all over Nashville, sure. Right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm not not denigrating. What to me now are these coffee house churches. you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So went to that, and what was crazy for me, as people would find out that I could sing, and they would get me to come up and sing, and I would get closer to the inner workings of the church, and just the grosser it got to me. Just the grosser it got to me, and I was like, wait a minute, we're not saying one thing here, and then we're kind of talking about this person over here or whatever, you know what I mean? The church I went to, you had to have the suit, and you had to have the right clothes and bullshit that I just never been.
That was always one thing that got me about church too, is the gossip.
Brutal.
Yeah.
It's not immune to that. And the bad thing is but what you think, and especially as you're a young believer, meaning new to the faith, maybe not necessarily young in age, but you just have this pie in the sky version of what it's supposed to be, and you've got this belief that, hey, this is what it's supposed to be, and you're looking up to these people who are older in the faith than you are, but then you see them and you're like, man, this guy's not any better. Like, wait a minute. So anyway, just really was disenchanted with that and really started having questions, right? And that was years ago. Came down here to Nashville, did the church thing in some big, I mean, if I said the names, most people would know them, but got really disenchanted with that. I was starting to slowly fall away from a strict walk anyway.
Are you good on beer?
I am. Yeah. No, this one's good.
Sorry.
No, it's a great question right in the middle of what we're talking.
I'm sorry. No, dude, I was just checking because I realized I didn't ask you.
No, I'm good on this one. But I had already kind of started falling away a little bit, from the strict, you go here, you do this, you don't say certain things, whatever. So, man, finally, I just started thinking for myself. And I haven't been to a church inside of a church other than, maybe once or twice, probably in 8 years, maybe longer. But oddly enough,
it's about how long it's been for me too.
I have found that my relationship with whatever people think God is, whatever their version is, right? I feel like I'm more in tune now than I ever was. And I think it comes down to treating people well. But God, I have taken the longest way around your question.
That's it. Not yeah. It took me not being at church to find God.
Same. A deeper quote unquote walk for me happened when I stepped away from all that.
Yeah.
And it's wow, because I've still got, like, I hate to say it, I'm the black sheep of the family. Like everybody else in my family is still that churchgoer, whether some on the Catholic side, still staunch Catholic, and then some still in that charismatic movement, right? And they love me today, and that's why I love them so much. And I don't tell them you need to quit going there. I do say you might want to take a little bit of a break, because I think you're being fed some crap, because they just work you to death, And anyway, but I grew up even from the Catholic Church to the Pentecostal church with, God's the white man with the gray beard and the gray hair, and he's either sending you to hell or he's going to allow you into heaven if you do everything the way it's supposed to be, right? So to me, like so many people, heaven was streets of gold, mansion waiting for us there, right? Angels everywhere. I'm not saying it's not.
American heaven.
American heaven. Yes. That's such a great way to put it.
That's a good song or album.
American heaven. That'd be a great title. Yeah. I got to write that down. So for me, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I have thought about, I don't think there's anything wrong, even if you have faith in a certain religion. And it takes faith. Look, I get why people look at you and go, you believe in that fairy tale? Well, it takes faith. And I've decided to have faith in a certain element of it, right? I don't believe that God is a white man with gray hair and a gray beard and a big booming voice. Well, maybe he does have a big booming voice. I don't know.
That's not what the Bible says.
Yeah.
Which it's not in there at all,
actually. Exactly. Yeah. So what happens in the afterlife? God, let me land this plane. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah. You're good. You're totally good.
I think
it's not an easy question. So
it's not. Yeah, you got to have a little bit of context for what you actually believe. So I think there's something out there. I don't know. I hope it's a paradise-like state. I have toyed with everything that it's kind of like I'll just use a phrase, like it's this beautiful mushroom trip. It's this beautiful acid style trip.
See, now you're talking my language.
You know what I mean? Like maybe it's that, and it's just this feeling of peace and that burden that we've been talking about the whole podcast that's gone, and you feel that light. You don't feel heavy anymore, and maybe it's just this beautiful thing. And then I've toyed with reincarnation. Even there's a thing in the Bible, and I cannot quote scripture and verse. At one time I could, and I just have forgot so much of it. But it talks about, I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb, right? And I've always allowed myself to go, So does that mean if you take the thing literally, and again, my God, a Bible scholar would just rip me to shreds, but if you knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb, you knew me. Because if I know you, if I really know you, I know the kind of food you like. I know the beer you like to drink. I know the music you like. I know what you're reading maybe, or what your literary, I know you. I know your tendencies. Not just I met you before you were formed in, but I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So if God had an intimate knowledge of me, right? Was I there before and he kind of sent me down? And when I die, do I go back up? And do I get recycled? I know that's some far out shit, dude. I know that.
Not to me, man.
But I want to stay as open to that without being quote unquote blasphemous. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If God is who God if we've been told who he is, I think he's big enough to handle me doubting or asking a question. We talk about a heavenly father. My kids can come and ask me anything, from the outlandish to anything.
Sure.
That's what
well, that's good parenting too.
Yeah. And I want them to even say, Dad, why are you doing it that way? Because doesn't this make better sense? And I've had my kids way smarter than me. And I remember even when they were kids.
I think you did a good job.
You know, I remember even when they were kids, they would call us on shit. And, well, because I said so, right? They'd walk off of me and my wife would be looking at you. You know what I mean? But I wasn't offended that they doubted me or asked me about a better way. So
that's a
I don't
allegory.
like to think that it's nothingness. I don't like to think that it's just over.
Or even like that something negative.
Okay, so we can really go down the rabbit hole here.
Well,
I didn't even mean to do that, but see what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there inadvertently. So I mean, I didn't. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you this to tell you what I think about it,
but
something you touched on is like very similar to the way I think. Through psychedelic experiences, something and it makes logical sense to me too, but I've been shown this too. I think we were all the same person. And what that thing is God.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the name for it.
Sure.
It's I don't think there's anything like the soul that's in me, I think is the same. The soul that's in you, that's the same soul that's in an ant or a blade of grass.
Sure.
And this is the mystery of the Trinity. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And that was Jesus's thing too, is he's the Son of God.
Yeah.
Do as I'm doing. Treat other people the way you want to be treated, because guess what? That is you.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Do unto others as you would have done to you.
Yes. Because guess what? That you're doing that to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So I think there's this one, and it's split into the illusion of personal.
Yeah.
Now what happens after this?
Yeah.
I think the answer is everything. I think there's not one answer. I think it's reincarnation.
Yeah.
I think there's a place you can put yourself that is very negative. And that's true just in reality. You can put yourself in a bad place. You can be on hell, hell on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with heaven. You can be in absolute, you know, if you've ever been in love, like you have children, I'm sure that's a very similar thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, but I'm just talking to people, like I know that is a state of like otherworldly love.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So these things exist even here.
Yeah.
And that's part of what, you know, not to derail too much, but that's part of what makes this so special.
Yeah.
Is that you can go from hell to heaven in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Okay, so you just said hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those things exist in a literal sense to me.
Yeah.
And everything in between. There is a negative, there is a positive, and there's reincarnation, and there's everything else that we could think about and could not think about.
Do you believe in hell as a place that we actually go and spend eternity and the gnashing of teeth? And
I don't know about eternity. I think if you're in a negative mindset, then you are in a negative place.
Sure.
And I think that transcends the body. So you can put yourself, because again, I think I'm God. I think you're God. Gotcha. I think everyone. It's not special.
Yeah.
Like everything is God, which is a scary thing when you look at like bad people, because it's like, oh,
interesting.
That's still God.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we can put ourselves in a bad place.
Yeah.
And I think how bad that gets is not something you and I could comprehend.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think there's a hell that I don't know about eternity, because I don't know that it's on or off. I think maybe, and I don't know. I'm talking out my ass right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think maybe we can kind of move in and out of these places.
Gotcha.
So I don't know about the eternity part, but I do believe. I believe there is a bad place and a good place.
So here's, and this blew my mind when I first heard, and I can't remember who it was. There's a pretty prominent minister, worship leader. I can't remember his name, man. I wish I could. There's actually a movie made about it. And he said there is no hell. He came out and said, I don't believe that there's a hell. And of course, you're like, dude, come on. Because that's what you've been taught and taught and taught and taught and taught and rammed down your throat, right? And
is that a big part of like Pentecostal and those churches too? Is hell?
Oh, damnation! Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I knew it is with Catholicism.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
no, absolutely.
I'll quit interrupting you.
No, you're not interrupting me at all. This is a conversation. As I've gotten older, and we always reference God as our heavenly Father, and I've always imagine how much you love your child. Then imagine how much more God loves your child, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, and if Christ was that perfect sacrificial lamb, and I do believe the words, he died once and for all. So let's just stop right there. And again, a Bible scholar would rip me to shreds. If he died once and for all, and this is crazy, because that means he died for like the most evil of evil people. But if he died once and he died for all, is there an actual hell, or am I walking now in a grace that if you really dial into what that is, that it pisses people off if you actually really start to understand the concept of grace? And would a loving Heavenly Father actually send you to not a few days, an eternity of hell? And again, I'm talking out of my ass, and I'm smart enough to know that.
At least,
but it makes me wonder.
That's it. At least we're both smart enough to know that we don't know.
I get scared of people who
I know.
Say they
know what's going on.
I get so. I'm like, wait, time out. Like, you're that adamant about something that is so vast and so multi-layered that I think that's indoctrination, right?
Sure.
They call it doctrine.
Yeah.
Doctrine is literally the root word of indoctrination. And I think sometimes we just say, okay, well, this is the way it is, and this is my parameters, and I'm just not afraid to think outside of the parameters. God bless you. May the God of all America bless you. Sorry.
Well, thank you.
But yeah.
No, yeah,
that's good shit.
Well said, man.
I could talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For a long time.
And as I preface, we don't know. But I think about this shit all the time, man. I think about this shit too much. Maybe it's too much weed. I don't know. But
no. I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I think it can help keep you sane.
From personal experience, I know that to be true.
Because if you are told,
there's got to be a balance, though, right?
It's got to be a balance. Oh yeah, it's got to be a balance. You can get in one ditch and then go all the way in the other ditch.
Sure.
You got to try to keep it somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better than what the government gives us.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
And I think there's a lot of good that can happen in organized religion. One of the things that I loved and still love about my memories of the Catholic Church were the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
It was just such a community.
It sounds like you're no stranger to the Nashville kind of scene we got going on here. And that's a big part of what I'm trying to do, like, with this is, I talk to everyone, man. Like, I talk to, Broadway cover bands, which are kind of looked down on by, like the East Side.
It's a whole skill set, man.
It's a whole thing, man. And, the only reason they look down on them is because these guys make money. And it's like, well, you don't have to hate on them just because they're making a buck.
Yeah, I agree.
But I talk to everyone. I talk to the punk scene in Murfreesboro. Got a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
All kinds of diverse, different kinds of music. And something I'm actively really trying to do is bring everyone together.
Yeah, I love that.
Because it is very cliquey. It's very like these people play at these venues with these bands, and the community part. Like I said, like live music became church for me.
Sure.
And I've really found God in a personal way, whatever that means.
Yeah. Whatever it means.
Through the power of music and just community. And it's that's a big part of what I try to do is like there should be no gatekeeping. This is one scene.
Yeah.
we're going to be one unified. That's not up for debate or negotiation. We will all be groovy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the community that you find with music is it's spiritual. It's
Completely
church.
agree. I am very fortunate to run around with a bunch of heathens on the west side of town. Or not the west side of town, west of Nashville, as I like to say, because obviously Nashville's got a West Nashville, and I'm not talking about that part of West Nashville. Although
I
I
like
love
that west of Nashville.
west of Nashville.
Yeah.
So we're talking usually Kingston Springs, Fairview, specifically Dixon, but also we've got some really great connections with Clarksville.
Okay.
And we
Shout out Rebel House.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the place to play
The
in
place,
Clarksville, man. For sure. But you know, man, when I kind of got back in this scene, I mean, I was out of music for a decade. I just put the guitar down. I was burnt. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it anymore. And I kind of got pulled back into it by Zach, the guitar player in Barney Wells and the Rambling Souls. And we smoked cigars at the same cigar lounge. Shout out to Big Boys out there in Dixon, Tennessee. And we were hanging around one night and sharing stories about how'd you get to Nashville, you know, that kind of thing. Because nobody's from Nashville, it seems like, but you know,
yeah,
I mean they are, but you know, there's so many transplants. And got to me, and I'd known some of these guys for 3, 4, 5 years. And hey, Barney, what about you, man? How'd you get to the Nashville area? It's like, man, that's like a lot of people. I was, came here for music, and all this. So, oh, wait a minute, play music? I was like, man, I said, that was like literally a lifetime ago, a decade ago. No. And there's always a guitar at the shop. And they put the guitar in my hand. I played a song that I'd written. And that kind of started a snowball effect, right? I did a songwriter's night in June of 2022. And then just snowballed. Then I got the band together. And what was crazy, right about that time, there was a lot of people either moving out towards Dixon, which it was just, like a destiny kind of thing, just worked. And, we got this little community, man, that we built up of 10 to 12 writers, artists, and they're always expanding and, networking and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
But it's a real community. Like the one thing that we find when people that are in the quote unquote Nashville scene kind of come out and they're like, man, I love what you guys are doing because it doesn't feel competitive. We're watching you on social media and you guys are just, sharing each other's stuff and hey, you got to listen to my buddy, and all this stuff. And it's so different than Nashville. And that makes me sad. And I think one thing I love about the East Nashville thing, and I know we're talking about clicks and how we don't want that. The one thing I do love about East Nashville, and I'm sure it's got its bad moments, it seems like such a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's there's artists with a great mentality about it, like you,
sure.
Sydney. There's artists that don't have a great mentality about it. And another thing I say all the time on here is like, it's only a competition if you look at it that way.
Absolutely.
If you look at it that way, it is a competition. But if you don't look at it as a competition, it's like, oh, we're all just collectively jamming out, for the love of music. There's no competition in that. There's plenty of food for everyone, man.
100%.
We can all, there's plenty of venues.
Yep.
Plenty of nights to
play.
Plenty of venues. There's room for everybody.
My thing is this, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. It can't be competitive.
No. If you're doing it that way, you're doing it wrong.
The minute it starts being that bullshit, the art kind of gets up and leaves the room.
You shot yourself in the foot.
I really believe that. I think it has to be, even if it's not your cup of tea, it's got to be communal. You know what I mean? And I think when you start talking about competition, I think when you start talking about I'm going to blow this guy off the stage. I had that opinion when I was younger. Like if I played multi-act, festivals or fairs, whatever the situation was, I'm going to make it tough on the next guy coming up. And you need to set a standard for yourself.
Yeah.
But if that's kind of your thing, like you're not winning and losing in music. It's like you're not keeping score. You don't win 75 to 72 or 80 to 30. Like that's bullshit.
You can never compare yourself in any field, but art especially. Like you can never compare yourself to someone else.
Yep.
You can only compare yourself to how you were yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, am I growing?
Yeah.
And that's
my thing. When I play a show, whether it's a songwriter's thing, whether it's Zach and I doing something duo, which we usually don't have like anybody following or going before us, but if we're doing like we're literally Saturday out in Dixon, it'll happen on October 14th. A festival that I have kind of helped curate along with Michael Shepard from Your Vibes Entertainment and Morgan Chandler from 119, our local brewery out there. And we're having it's like a 10, I think probably 10 artists. And it's kind of festival style, starting with some acoustic acts, putting into bigger bands. And I've told everybody that's on that bill, this whole day is going to be about love and joy and good vibes and literally sending good vibrations out into the community. Like it has to be that. And my band is headlining that, quote unquote. But every artist is adding to that day to make it one big, beautiful thing. And I know that sounds pie in the sky, hippy dippy, whatever. I don't care. That's what that day has to be.
Yeah.
That's what these music festivals have to be. That's what playing at the Five Spot has to be. That's what playing at the Eastern has to be. It's got to be that.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Well said, man.
If not, we're swimming against the current.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I got one more question for you. I won't take up too much more of your time, but thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me, man.
Album out roughly around Thanksgiving.
That's what we're hoping. Tentatively named "Easy Man to Please," titled "Easy Man to Please."
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Okay. So I lied. A couple of questions.
Yeah.
Is that the whole band, or is that just you and Zach?
No, that's the whole band. Barney Wells and the Ramblin' Souls. Zach Brooks on guitar and background vocals. AJ Durham on drums, and my longtime friend Keith Kenyon on bass guitar. One of the baddest men I know.
I can't wait to hear it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we captured some real magic. I hope.
That's awesome. Yeah. Recorded out in Dixon.
Recorded at Burns Sound by owner, engineer, musical genius Jeremy Deerdorf. I found out about this place and found out that I have driven by this little building thousands of times and didn't know that it was this studio that was kind of a big deal back in the early 70s, 80s, stretching into the 80s. And the guy who started the studio built it very well and did it so people on Music Row could come out into the country, which at the time, this area in Dixon County and Burns, the community of Burns, was nothing but just pasture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he built this really quality studio, and people like Waylon Jennings, Bill Monroe, Ricky Skaggs, the Oak Ridge Boys, Johnny Paycheck, Barbara Mandrell, I don't know if I said her or not. Like they recorded it out there. Now,
wow.
A-list like session players.
That's awesome.
There's art autographs all over the wall. Like Victor Woot, who is not from
Do you have pictures of this place?
Huh?
You have pictures of this place?
I can send you some. I could. No, he's got a great website.
Awesome.
I kind of found out about this place, and I called Jeremy. I was like, "Hey, man, like a mutual friend of ours was recording out there." And I reached out to him, and I was like, "Hey, man, is this in Burns, Tennessee?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "No kidding."
That's awesome.
Vintage equipment, the boards from Muscle Shoals. I mean, like old school. We recorded to tape, which is a luxury that a lot of people don't get. Dude. And so went out there and toured it, met Jeremy. He and I were talking the same language, even though there's like a 2-decade difference in age. Like we were just, and it's funny. I use this term, and he and I know exactly what I'm talking about. He's an audio nerd. He just knows all of it about all of it. And he just lives and breathes it. And it was really, really fun. And
sounds like some real pros out there.
Phenomenal studio. Small, but man, they used every square inch of space in all the right ways. Yeah, it's turned out just really, really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm excited.
So this again is something I ask everybody.
Yeah.
I used to ask people if they had any ghost stories. But that's
yeah,
not
I've been waiting for this.
that's not really what I mean. Though.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced something you can't explain? And I think based on this conversation, there's probably a few.
Yeah.
But I guess there's not really a way I can pinpoint that anymore. I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So me personally, not necessarily. But I grew up in a family that really, really believed in the spirit world, like good, bad, and whatever. And they would scare the shit out of us when we were kids with this stuff. But when my grandfather, who I never met, passed away, my mom, one of her sisters, and my grandmother, when my grandmother's husband passed away, as in the days after, they were sitting in a living room. And I don't know if you've ever seen the big, really heavy, thick, like glass ashtrays, like super thick, right? And they're glass.
You skull
almost, yeah, for sure.
That's a weapon.
And they asked, they literally, which was so crazy, and maybe this is why they always like warned us about seances and Ouija boards and shit, because that's basically what they were doing. They said, Daddy, if you're out there, give us some sort of sign, that you're okay, type thing. And they swear to this day that big, heavy, thick ashtray split right down the middle and just fell onto the table that it was on, like as if it was just cut by a blade. So that was one thing I grew up with. I grew up with a lot of ghost stories. Like this big family on my mom's side is my cousin, aunt and uncle and cousins, called the Feldhouse family. They lived in this really old house. And when we would go out there and stay all night, like young kids, like they would just scare the shit out of you about like, don't go downstairs. And like there's,
campfire stuff.
Oh yeah, big time. But now the one thing I will say, there used to be this man, God, I got to write this song now that I think about it. They called him Old Man Lacey. And when I was a kid, like I'd heard about Old Man Lacey, right? And he was just, I don't want to call him crazy because that just sounds like such a bad thing. But lived by himself in this old trailer and had all these pictures up of Jesus all over his trailer and everything. They claimed he was crazy and all this stuff. And I'll never forget when I was a little kid, I went there with my cousin and my dad. And while we went up there, I don't know, because they called him crazy. And I'm like, well, why are you taking me? Why would you be taking
Come on, son, let's go see the crazy
Let's go see the crazy man, like up on top of this hill. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh God, what's going to happen? But there was some juju going on there for sure. Like you stepped in. And he was, as a little kid, I was like, this is kind of far out. I don't know how to explain that. I'm not saying it's a definite energy. I believe in energy, good and bad. We were just.
Would you describe it as kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but almost like still or quiet, like in a weird, like
a chaotic stillness.
Well said.
If that makes any sense, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And probably
I know exactly what you
mean.
Probably
as a kid and growing up with these folklore stories of Old Man Lacey, I was probably just freaked out going in anyway. I mean, I was a little kid, like maybe 7 or 8 years old. So I was already freaked out probably meeting the guy. He had long white hair, beard, and everything. He looked the part. There's definitely some energy there. We just got back from New Orleans about a month ago. Went down for a few days. It was a great trip.
I love New Orleans.
There's definitely an energy down there that I think is palpable in certain parts of the town. And, when you look into the history of New Orleans, it's good and really bad.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so old that there's something dancing around down there. There's no doubt in my mind there's something dancing. But I found a lot of positive vibes in New Orleans too. But I think you turn around a corner sometimes and you kind of feel it. You know what I mean?
Like you said, the history. There's a lot of. I'm really big into magic, and I've dabbled with some of the dark stuff. But, particularly, I'm interested in Haitian hoodoo.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit different than like African voodoo.
Yeah.
And that has some strong connections with New Orleans.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
It's real. I
down there.
didn't when I turned 18 and moved out of my parents' house,
Yeah.
got away from what I
Sure.
was a part of. I was like obnoxiously an atheist.
Right.
Like
Right.
like I was annoying
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I get it.
Because this, like Christianity had the way I was raised that it like left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm not there now. I have a healthy respect for scripture at this
Sure.
point in my life.
Sure.
But like I was basically at a point in my life where I'm like, well, let's fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out. Yeah.
And I had never experienced anything until I went looking for it.
Yeah.
And so like I can tell you firsthand it exists.
Yeah.
And if you want it bad enough, you can find out.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think now the way I was raised, you better be careful what you open yourself up to.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're open, if you're looking for it, it'll find you.
And I think what I'm looking for isn't that.
Well, that's good.
You know what?
I definitely don't
I mean?
recommend it.
Yeah. No, I think that's out there. I think the spirit world is incredibly real, the good and the bad, and I think we can get there by different means.
Yeah.
From anything from meditation to psychedelics, and I think if you go about it with that positive search, that positive, I want to go on a positive journey, just find out the beauty of whatever, or it's got to be more than this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
If you're open to the Holy Spirit and like,
I think so.
They don't look at it as magic, but that's what it's just sanctioned, approved magic.
Yeah.
Is what this is something I fight with my mom about. Is like I'm like, I understand you don't literally think it turns into like flesh and blood when you eat it.
Yeah.
But that's still blood magic because it's ceremonial and symbolic.
Well, when you think about it, and you think about it from a non-Christian point, you're like, wait a minute.
How else do you describe it?
You guys do what?
Yes.
Well, roll that back and tell me again, like the body of Christ you eat and the blood.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if you're not in that mainstream and you're like, okay, that's far out. So I totally get it, man. I totally get how that can be looked like. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's crazy, but it's definitely magic.
Yeah, for sure. It's wild.
So, old man Lehman?
Old man Lacey. Yeah, there's just some juju there.
Okay, so it was just like weird vibes when you went there. Okay.
But now my daughter, my oldest daughter, we lived in this house for 17 years. It was a brand new house when we bought it. It sat on the market for a couple of years. We lived in that house until we live in the house that we live in now. And she would always claim that she saw little people in that house. And I'm talking like from 5 or 6 years old. Not like she was 12 and maybe going through some adolescent kind of like attention seeking type stuff. She would always claim that she saw little people in that house.
Like, okay.
Not spooky, not scary.
Just like little people.
Yes.
As a kid, so maybe even children?
I think she was talking about children. Yeah, she wasn't talking about little people.
And when you're a kid, you don't. That's interesting because most of the stories, I ask everyone this, so I've asked like a bunch of people this. Mm-hmm. It's mostly children that are.
And here's the deal: you and I are jaded enough to maybe not be open to that necessarily at a certain point.
Not without, substance.
Yeah, but kids,
they don't know. They're not formed. They don't know.
Are wide-eyed.
Yeah,
with that kind of stuff.
I think the more you're onto something, the more you learn, the more jaded you are.
100%. And so what happens? It becomes that veil over your eyes. And
you're more look at everything. Person.
You look at everything through a different prism. You get a 5 or 6 year old because I think when we moved in there, she would have been 6. Because we moved to Nashville when they were 4 and 2, moved to Dixon when they were 6 and 4. And I'm talking not immediate. I can't remember the exact timeline of when she started saying, I see little people. And we were like, what? She had trouble sleeping all the time. Our youngest would just go right to sleep. Our oldest, nightmare. From the time like we moved out there till the time like she was 10 years old, she just could not go to sleep. And now you look back as a parent, you can almost kind of feel bad, like, look, she was dealing with some shit. We're just like, oh, there's no little people in the house. Now I'm, almost 20 years past when we moved in that house, and I'm like, oh God, Like, that's crazy. Like, she absolutely might have been in tune to something that we couldn't allow ourselves to be in tune to because of that jadedness. And now you're looking through life through a completely different prism. But a child has all that innocence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you this. I know we're wrapping up. I will tell you this. This was wild. I am a pretty light sleeper. Just toss and turn.
Me too, man.
The slightest noise, I'll wake up. It just drives me crazy. I'm also the kind of guy, my body is good at 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Like, God forbid I fall asleep early, like at 9. I'll be up at 2, 3, 4. Like, my body's going, hey, let's get up. It's time to rock and roll. But I had fallen asleep super early in the day. My body, I think that lack of sleep had just caught up with me one day. And I'd fallen asleep like probably like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Woke up at 8. Literally went back to sleep and like slept till 10, right? Like, it was a weird sleep. It was like on a Saturday. And I was up from 10 to 3 in the morning, right? And my wife wasn't in the house. She was actually dog sitting for our daughter. And it was just me in the house. And I will tell you this, it was just dreams. But the dreams, the older I get, the more vivid my dreams get. That's cool. Like sleep paralysis. Okay. This was so real, it genuinely freaked me the hell out. I had this dream, and my dog was sleeping in the bed with me when I went to sleep in real life, not dream life. He was at like my feet, and I was dreaming that all of a sudden the light was on in the room, like a big bright light, right? And I woke up in the dream. This is gonna get confusing. I woke up in the dream. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the hell is this light doing? Somebody had to turn the light on. I'm in this house all by myself. You're still
dreaming, but you're in your room.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you say a light, like
the overhead light,
not just a ball of light, but
an actual physical light. Like, and what I kept thinking, somebody had to come in here and turn this light on. I'm in my dream state, but it's like my mind is aware. I know it's going to get really convoluted, and so I'm freaking out, like, who the hell came in this house and turned this light on? And in my dream, I got up and turned the light off, went right back to bed. And who knows what the time is when you're sleeping, but again, woke up and the light was on. Super freaked out. So my physical body started fighting to wake up because I'm thinking somebody's in my house. My physical body was now starting to kind of mesh with that subconscious dream state. So I literally could feel myself fighting that sleep paralysis to wake up. And I did. Woke up like, out of breath, looked around, TV was on, lights are out, my dog's right at my feet, everything's normal. It's like, oh, okay. Whew. Probably stayed up for a minute, right? Went back to sleep. This is the part that freaked my daughter out. So I go back to sleep, right? And because our dog, if it hears the slightest thing, I always sleep with our bedroom door completely shut. And I did that night. Went back to sleep. And again, who knows what the time frame was. But went back to sleep and I had a dream. But again, the dream was so real. It was me. The dream was me laying in the bed and the bedroom door was open, okay, in the dream. And the hall light was on. And I saw myself walking past the door. It wasn't anything spooky. Like, I wasn't spooky. I was me. But I was me looking at me. Does that make sense? Like, I was looking at myself laying in bed. Not a big long pause, walking right by, but looking, glancing over what would have been my left shoulder at me. And
oh, so you look at yourself.
And yes.
You lock eyes with yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
And it happened on a loop like 3 times, the exact same thing in the same dream. So now my physical body, not my dream body, is now freaking the hell out. And again, I start fighting heavy physically, fighting heavy sleep paralysis because my physical body is freaking out. Like, what am I doing in the fucking hallway? Woke up from it again, was up for a hot minute.
Woke up in your bed.
Woke up physically.
Didn't wake up in the hallway.
No,
or anything.
no.
Okay.
No, woke up physically in my bed. Again, door shut, the glow of the TV on, dog at my feet, like nothing. But dude, when I tell you the realness of it was alarming.
That gave me chills.
It was alarming. Well, when I told my oldest daughter, who had the experience with the little people in the old house, like it freaked her out. Like she was like, whoo. She's like, I feel that all over my body. You know what I mean? So I don't. I'm not saying that's a cult. I'm not saying that's another dimension. Maybe it is. I think dream like that. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next
dreaming
time. Yeah,
is a whole like DMT. That's what's happening in your brain.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. To be continued.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to talk again sometime.
I would love to. I would love to.
Is the rest of your family? Do they play music? Like your wife and kids?
No. My wife loves music, but like her, like, and there's certain things that there's hills that she just dies on for certain artists. Like she loves Amos Lee. She's very Melissa Etheridge is like her North Star. She loves Melissa Etheridge. She loves really good music, but she's kind of more like whatever's on the radio, I'm cool with. But now there's certain things that she wants to play when we're up in the morning, maybe fixing breakfast or we're fixing dinner. She loves Kings of Leon, and but now my daughters, they love I'm really proud of the way they love music because it's all over the map. Like it's all over the map.
Awesome.
They can gravitate to Jason Isbell. They can gravitate to certain things that I just don't gravitate to, but like I love that they love it. They can gravitate towards 80s rock because they probably listen to it because that's what I listened to in high school. So I still listen to that just for nostalgia's sake, and I love that music. But then they are into rap, and that's just a genre that I like. Kendrick Lamar, I love Common, I love The Roots.
Love Kendrick.
Yeah, but like there's certain I just can't gravitate towards. It's just not something I understand. But they are between all the spectrums, but not musicians. Both of my daughters can carry a tune. My oldest, I think if she actually got serious about it, she's got a really powerful voice. But she's the kind of kid, or I call her a kid, she's not a kid. But she's the kind of person she can't make it all the way through a song seriously. You know what I mean? Like she'll be hitting notes. Damn, she can sing, and then she'll just kind of mess around. She never allows herself to sing something all the way through. But now I've got family back in West Virginia, man. I got a cousin back there in a band called Tidal Wave, and it's kind of Black Keys ish kind of stuff, and it's cool as hell. I've got another cousin back in West Virginia. My one cousin Justin Yates, who's in Tidal Wave. My cousin Ashley, she's in kind of like a Grateful Dead kind of string band ish.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Playing the Godchalk role, and doing all the female lead stuff in it and everything. She's got a great voice. It's great to see so much music coming out of my family now, because when I kind of decided to do it, it was just me and my hippie cousin Dickie Yates, who were kind of the musicians. Now I've got a lot of family that can carry tunes. Man, I got some really talented family, but they never really did anything with it. But my nephew Seth is an absolute guitar slinger, like a absolute guitar slinger. And I'm like, dude, every time I go back home, I'm like, dude, you need to move to Nashville. You can stay with me and Aunt Sherry. Like he's a guitar slinger. And I've got a niece and her husband. He's a great musician, great guitar player. They do a lot of stuff in church. Emily and Daniel, they're great. And then my cousin Corey, or not cousin, nephew Corey. I turned him one of the Allman Brothers when he was a kid, and we laugh about it. I basically turned him into my hostage one Thanksgiving and made him watch the live from the Beacon Theater. It's like 2 hours of Allman Brothers music. You know what I mean? And he's such a big Allman Brothers fan, and we're still turning each other on to new music. And yeah, I've got siblings that love good music, but not a lot of them that are actually doing the thing. But again, it's just that passing down of above average music listeners, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are actually starting to strap an instrument on or writing and stuff like that. It's really cool to see.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you again, Barney.
Oh, thank you, dude. This was awesome.
This has been really great.
Yeah, man.
Talking to you, man. This was like easy conversation to have.
100%.
Like we just went into it real quick.
Yeah.
New album coming out near the end of Thanksgiving. You got music out already, right? Like where they can find you?
We don't. You got to come and see me live.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, just keep an eye out. And
it's coming.
What shows you got?
It's coming.
Out? There's the 14th won't.
So the 14th. So we got a big thing coming up this weekend. That'll already be out. We got a couple of weeks off, kind of by design. I'm going to Columbus, Mississippi, to be a part of Alan Aldridge's songwriters thing down there in Columbus, Mississippi. Then we're back. We go to Southland Casino in West Memphis, Arkansas. The next local thing that we'll do, about the only real quote unquote Nashville place that we play, is Live Oak on Demumbrian.
Okay.
Dave and Maggie Johnson own that, along with Hasten Lott, our good friends. They're from Dixon, and they have really been wonderful about opening their doors to the west of Nashville crowd. And we're doing a full band thing there, I believe, December 1st. So that would be locally. That would be your next thing to check us out at, man. But yeah.
I will write that. I got a calendar for these things.
Yeah, man. Please come out. Yeah,
I would love to, man. I'd love to see you play again.
Yeah, man.
You and Zach and the whole band.
Man. Yeah, for sure.
Check out Barney at any shows he's at around the country, and
at Barney Wells Music on socials.
Hell yeah, man. I'll put a link in the description or something.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week.